Every person is a project for us.
Early age founders really struggle with it.
I don't think physio is really biased towards the gender. I didn't come here to go back.
Last year I was hospitalized.
It was under the carpet. Stress is slightly overrated these days.
Gut is everything.
Gut is everything. You don't need to stress about stress.
You need clones of yourself to ensure that your service is at that level.
Standardize.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the FoundHers Podcast series. Today with me I have Dr. Kruti Khemani, the founder of Continuum, a physiotherapy center across India. Hi Kruti, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you, it's a pleasure.
Okay, so before we start, why don't you go ahead and give us a 1-minute pitch about what is Continuum and what do you do?
So Continuum, as I've always said, is our third baby. And I say our is because my husband and I started it as a project together. And I really wanted to bring back the knowledge I collected in Australia for about 10 years, 12 years that I was there. Learned a lot from very, very good practitioners. And I thought it's time to change the face of the industry. So Continuum's main motto is not to relieve you of pain. Our motto is to let you continue doing what you love doing through life because life's too short. And there's a lot of more recognition of the industry in various factors like corporate, the film industry, like every star has a physio traveling with them now, which wasn't the case just say 5 years ago. There is so much need of it. I mean, sport, absolutely a non-negotiable aspect of sport. So for Continuum to really thrive, it needs to have 3 strong pillars going for it. Integrity, ethos, very, very important because money anybody can make, but making money the right way, very important with strong ethics. Second is training and knowledge. So we really, really work hard on making sure that we bring the best global knowledge to people. Third is teamwork. No one person can work by themselves. So even for one patient, sometimes we have 3 of us working on it.
Oh.
So it's like a project. Every person is a project for us. 3 pillars are extremely important for us at Continuum, and I think we stand on it.
That's very interesting. I think describing your core values so clearly just takes a lot. As a founder, I think I every day try to change my values, and I'm like, okay, this is our value, we have to stick to it. How do we ensure we're abiding by it? Because that's the real deal. Even if you want a value, it needs to kind of be executed and shown to the audience that you're working with. Why did you decide to start Continuum? Tell me a little bit about that journey of taking the plunge when the industry was still growing. I'm sure you started back then when awareness was also had to be created for this industry. So how was your journey with Continuum? What are the hurdles that you faced in building this up and actually connecting to customers and being like, this is something that will actually help you?
So when I came back in 2017, that's when I started setting the space up. In 2018 Jan, we opened doors to our first ever center. I came back with, say, a total of 14 years of experience, out of which 10, 11 was in Australia. I had parents who had a big social network, and my mom is within the medical fraternity, so she had a lot of doctor contacts. So I came back with a lot of overconfidence. I wouldn't even call it confidence. I came back with a lot of thinking I've got the dollars, I'll set a nice space up and it'll work fabulous within a year. Nothing of that happened. The first year, we started paying very high rent in a 2,000 square foot space in the heart of Mumbai, in a prime building, and a lavish space, which people literally told me that people don't want to come because it looks so good. And I was like, wait, what?
Are you serious?
Yes. So they said, well, they don't even want to enter because they think, "Arey baap re, idhar jayenge to 3-4 हज़ार dena padega." So I felt like saying, but at least try me out. So I met 40 to 50 doctors personally. I would wait outside their consulting rooms 2 hours, like an MR does for them. And I waited. I would go personally meet them. This is who I am. This is what we do. Give them the brochures. The only thing that I didn't do was give them a referral cut or offer it to them. Because again, part of my strong ethos is I do not believe in the referral system. I am asking you to send me a patient if you believe in what I do.
Yeah.
Don't send me a patient because I'm giving you money for it.
Right.
That's what marketing is for. right? A doctor and a doctor work together because they believe in each other. So I was very anti-referral system, and I was told very clearly by everybody, including friends, family, that you don't give referral cards, nothing's going to come to you. I said, that's fine. I'll wait when it comes. I'll stick to my ground. I'll wait. And it was a very tough decision to do because obviously money was going out. There was nothing coming in. And that took 1.5 years before my parents and my husband had to drag me out of that amazing space saying, you need to get out because numbers aren't showing. You're just putting in all the money you've got. All your savings are almost going to deplete. Get out of here. I had to get out of that space, chose something slightly less expensive and still stuck my ground. And also what was the difference in what the regular physio practices were and what I started was the price point. Now, when you go for your hair, when you go for your nails, when you go to a high-end restaurant, when you go to a tattoo artist, I don't think you bargain to that extent. This is healthcare. So we were charged, I remember 6 years ago, at say 1,500 rupees a session, which is not much in even 2017 if you ask me. But sadly, because pre-Continuum, pre-me, a lot of places, apart from barring 1 or 2 good practices, were charging way lesser than that. And I was shocked that I can't believe I've come back 10 years later and the prices are still the same. Guys, high time you create a value. Like if you don't value your own work, how are people going to value it? So even 1,500 I had eyebrows raising, even 1,500 I had people, affluent society people bargaining with my receptionist. So that was a big hurdle. We had to stand our ground. I remember my husband had put a poster thing at the reception saying, do you bargain with your restaurant owners? Do you bargain with your hairdressers? Do you bargain with so-and-so? Please don't bargain with us. He had put there. And I was like, I think it's a bit too harsh, Chair. But he's like, no, people need to understand. I'm like, great. So me and him were always on the same page in a lot of ways. But yeah, what was wrong I did was I wanted to create a space where people felt that, great, if I go to Australia, if I go to US, and if I go to Continuum, it feels the same. And that's what I stood for. I said my space and has to look, feel and work like a global standard practice. So we made sure that happened. And thankfully, that sort of was just about picking up in year 2 and COVID hit. COVID wasn't nice to us. Nobody wants to go to physio when there's COVID lurking around. So business completely dropped down to minimal. We were just about growing to 6 to 8 member team, and I came back down to 3 member team. And I was the only one going alternate days when we started opening doors again after the first wave. That sort of washed me out completely. I had to leave that second space as well. And I worked out of a very small space which my mom owned in Andheri. And I said, I'm not shutting shop. We were told, go back to Australia, you still have time, nothing's lost, you guys are citizens. And I'm like, I didn't come here to go back. There is no way on hell am I shutting this, right? It was just year 2. So I started doing that, and at Touchwood that grew as well because they saw the difference in quality of physio as well. So that grew alongside with the practice, and very soon sort of we grew in numbers as a team. From 6 to 8, 8 to now 20 to 21. And luckily, again, I believe in your vibe attracts your tribe. So I've attracted a very similar kind of
I love that
staff.
thing.
I know, right? It's so...
Your vibe attracts your tribe.
It's so cliche, but it's really true. It's true. I'm telling you, you come to Continuum and you'll see like clones of me walking around, I feel. We're all very similar, yet very different. And I didn't create an entire line of uniforms for practitioners because I very strongly believed that each practitioner has a beauty in them.
Right.
You be you.
Right.
Our message is the same, but we look, walk and talk differently. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So if I put
it's a really
uniforms-
nice way to put out how your ethos at Continuum is entirely, and it's required, right? Because when you're starting out, you need clones of yourself to ensure that your service is at that level. And yeah, and people are coming back to Continuum, like you said, to give that entire international experience. A couple of points that you highlighted. One was, the customer perception. I think you've had such a great journey of so many downs before the up actually kicked in, but you stayed through with it, and sticking to your belief is so important. I'm telling you this, early age founders really struggle with it. they say it takes 5 years to build a business, but who's going to wait that long? And with the new generation, patience is like not a part of it. Moving into a little bit of health and women. Last year I was hospitalized and still don't know the reason, but that's when I got to know something, that my gut health plays a very big and most important role in the way that I live my life. Till then I thought gut was like instinct, jo gut feeling hai le lo types, but that my gut health had failed. That was what I heard from the doctor towards the end, and I went back home and I was like, okay, what is this gut? Where is it? What am I to do with it? And since then till now, I've seen gut health for women play such a big role on the internet as well. You see so many businesses speak about it. So, what's your take on that? And coming from somewhere where exercise and fitness and, like you said, the right thing for the right person is so important. As women founders, what's that one advice you'd like to give us to ensure that we maintain our gut health irrespective of what type of a journey we're living?
Very good question. So as part of our assessment for any new patient, we have always asked this question, how is your gut health? Yeah. Now the reason being, that's the breeding ground for inflammation. Your gut lining decides the pH of your blood, whether your blood's going to be very acidic in nature or alkaline. All right, okay. That's the decision your gut lining, intestinal and stomach lining makes. If you have gut issues, if you are acidic, if you are constantly bloating up, if you're having reflux or any sort of abnormal digestive symptom, that's going to create a change in your blood pH.
Yeah.
So gut health for me is directly or indirectly related to relieving you of your pain, number one. Number two, now I'm going to put in a little spirituality here because I do believe in spirituality and I've gotten into practicing it as well, that is where a lot of your decision making and confidence comes from.
Right.
So if your gut health is disturbed, your decision making is not going to be accurate. On track.
That's interesting.
Yeah. If your gut is not feeling the best, are you going to be able to do a 1-hour gym session? Probably not. And that's again going to, spiral down to no gym, so less muscle, less energy, more injury, more aches and pains. So it's a vicious cycle, and the only way to break any health-related vicious cycle is looking at gut.
Another very big problem that I noticed, and I want to know your literal opinion on it. We all get tired, we're humans, but we also burn out. And burnout is a really, really big problem that I'm seeing in the entrepreneurial field, especially not only in India, I would say anywhere. As an early stage founder, you have founders now starting directly out of college. They don't have that much knowledge or experience. So what really is the difference between a burnout and being tired? And are there any key signs, like you said, to know from the start that you'd like to share with us, which would be like, these key things could identify the fact that maybe you're reaching burnout or you're probably burnt out?
I think it's a very fine line, to be honest, being tired and being burnt out. And I'm saying this from experience, I'd say. I ignored completely my health post the kids.
Yeah.
And I think just post kids, being overseas, no help with anything, that, and then adding on this move and then making sure that this baby of mine picks up, has taken a 6-8 year long journey, right?
Yeah.
So I've ignored myself completely, and I'm feeling the effects now. But I don't think yet I've reached burnout stage. And I've seen people in that burnout stage, and trust me, the signs are very different. The burnt out ones will start becoming antisocial. The burnt out ones will start getting into the stage of denial. People are telling you to stop and you feel like, they're just jealous, or they don't care what I'm going through. You're in denial. You start not wanting to meet people, right? You're so obsessive, compulsive with everything that you've reached a stage of not wanting to get out of the office or your room.
Yeah.
That's burnout. I think today's, in fact, entrepreneurs and business owners are very conscious. Like most of the good names you hear in the field of entrepreneurship are very conscious of what they're eating, how they're eating, are they exercising, are they looking after their mental health and their relationships, and are they also creating a circle of or a tribe of people that think similar. And that's good, healthy entrepreneurship. So
I think it came with the generation.
correct.
It came with the fact that, since COVID, mental health took such a big
Yeah.
stance. Even I learned this the hard way.
Yeah.
In my first few years of, just starting out, at that time I used to work at startups. I didn't have my own company. Still, I was at a managerial level. So, building the business from ground up. Then moving to starting out. At that time, I was like, what is burnout? And someone had just told me that, the day you reach burnout, you will not realize it. You will realize it much
That's
later.
why I said fine line.
Yeah, it's a very, very fine line. And that's why I knew I had to ask you this, because I was like, I need to know how you distinguish it. But like you said, being antisocial and denial, these are the two key things that you notice. So I had reached that stage, and that's when I was like, okay, no, I need to
Step back.
Yeah, I need to start inculcating these small things in my day-to-day, like, even if it means mindfulness or, just practicing. I had this experience of letting go of friends and creating that safe tribe that, okay, cool, today I've had a bad day. I know if I go to them, I'm going to come back right out. So it's growing. It's definitely growing, but I feel like every founder has like their journey. So,
and I think what helped me, my spirituality practice now that I've started since 2 years, is not feeling guilty for not working.
You mentioned a lot about stress and pain. What's the correlation that you've seen between stress and pain that actually gets created? Because I'm stressing at like 20. I have like a whole life ahead of me, and knowing the fact that every small aspect, every small decision plays a role in how your life is going to be shaped. So what is that correlation between stress and pain for a human body, especially when you're in a challenging job?
So without putting too much science behind it, firstly I want to point out stress is slightly overrated these days.
Yeah.
Stress is normal, but up to a certain level. Yeah. Right? Even animals, when they're hunting, are stressed about not being seen before they pounce. Okay? Stress is a preparatory phase that your body has to go through to perform a particular activity that requires power, strength, grit, whatever. Yeah. So stress is not bad. Okay, so I need every youngster to keep this in mind. That's a
very, very nice way to put it. Like,
yes.
You made me realize that you don't need to stress.
You don't need to stress about stress.
Yeah, you don't need to stress about stress.
So,
right?
I mean, unfortunately, it's very subjective. There is no measures yet that people have come up with a number that a stress level of 5 on 10 is okay, but not 8 on 10. Yeah. So there's no scale. But what I mean to say is, as far as that stress is not stopping you from functioning, it's not necessarily bad. But when it crosses that line of reaching a point where it's then stopping you from functioning ahead, where you can't think straight, you can't your decision making is affected, your moods are constantly affected, your environment is changing because of you being stressed, but others are starting to notice it, and your work productivity has changed. That is level of stress that's not acceptable. Then what do? You don't say don't take stress. You go to somebody who helps you cope with that stress.
Yeah.
So good quality counselors, psychologists, psychiatrists, or even mentors, coaches, whatever they are that you go to, have to teach you stress management and coping strategies. Okay, the minute you go to them and they say stop taking stress, please run out of there. Because you can't stop taking stress.
That's true.
Right?
That's very
and
true.
You can't stress from coming into your life. You can't stop stress from coming into your life because that's not in your hands.
Yeah.
How others around you are going to respond or react or behave is not in your hand. But if every single person and thing is going to trigger a stress response, then something's wrong with you.
Yeah.
So that practitioner has to help you cope and manage that stress and create a boundary that's healthy enough for you so that you don't stop functioning. Okay, so that is something I really wanted to make clear. Now, yes, stress affects pain. How? Is because stress it stimulates your nervous system in a bad way. Yeah. I'm not going to use jargon here. It's triggering like a live wire and it's waking up all the bad demons. Okay, yeah. So what it's doing, it's creating that response inside the body where your blood pH changes, and that creates inflammation in your gut, and that again then leads to aches and pains. Including young kids to know stress is going to come.
Yeah.
Learn to cope with it and don't allow it to cross its threshold where you can't function. Yeah, as I said, healthy stress is required. Why were exams created?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's to give you the
I don't know
healthy
one
stress,
person that didn't get worried about exams, right? And exams are there through life. So, I mean, even a fight is an exam. It's an exam for you to know
Whether you can.
how am I
fight it,
managing this
yeah.
fight. So that amount of stress is not going to go. So we need to go to somebody, and it's okay to go to somebody to get help
Yeah.
for stress. Don't pour it out on mom, dad, or husbands or kids. Go outside, go to an unbiased party to deal with it. Now we have them, and there's no taboos to it, thankfully, anymore.
That's really nice because it's required. That support is required. Before this is like you deal with it. Like you said, suck it up.
It was under the carpet.
Yeah.
Shh.
You know, going back to, you know, how this entire hurdle and journey was, like you said, your first center was so good and you just didn't want to leave. One thing, because this entire episode is for women founders, you know, what was that drive that kept you going and told you that, okay, it's time to let this go and get to the closest little place I can, which is closer to my goal? Because I struggle with it today, if I have to tell you, and I know people struggle with it. So I'd love to know how you stuck through as despite COVID and been like, no, this is gonna come through. What was that for you like?
You want me to be brutally honest about this?
Yes.
I think it comes from me being a Taurian and very stubborn.
Not letting go.
Well, yes, I'll be very honest. I think part of it is that. And part of it is wanting to prove it to my kids that when you really have decided on doing something, no, don't give up. Don't give up.
You want to be their role
what
model.
may. Absolutely. I mean, like I said to you, I'm sure by 16 and 18, they'll be like, what made you come back from Australia? You know, so then I can prove it to them. This is what I came back for.
Nice.
But also, like I said, I am somebody from childhood who doesn't give up on certain things that I take in hand. So I think it's a part personality, part being Taurian, and part also not letting down the very people that supported you. And namely my husband, because he left behind a very beautiful country, which he loved dearly, and I brought him back for this. I have to prove it to him. Not prove it to him, I have to prove myself that I did it for a reason, and I've promised him that we'll go back one day. Maybe, I don't know when, but we will.
Take Continuum there.
Oh yes, well, amen to that. But you know, I think it's a sacrifice he's made for me, I'll be honest. With his support, absolutely, and he's still there very much as a part of the business. Genuinely speaking, it's a need of the hour in India. I've got friends calling me who are living overseas every month, at least one or two, saying, hey, my mom's fallen down, can you please send somebody, or can you see her? Or my dad's got this, can you please see them? So who's there to look after that generation? You know, and especially now with so much global travel happening, everybody sometime in life is going to need that support.
Right.
So I'm happy to say Continuum can be that support. So anybody living anywhere in the part of the world, if any of their family members need to be looked after as well, I want to be that brand that people can rely on and say, oh, thank God, we can just call them and they'll be fine.
Yeah.
That's what I want, that trust to come into people.
That's interesting. I think, you know, thank you for sharing that. It's definitely inspiring to see how you did not give up no matter what. And it's literally true that no matter what, there was a lockdown which was global, but that didn't, you know, make you give up. So moving on to this now, speaking a little bit more about FoundHers, there's this new concept that's obviously creeped in after COVID, which is mompreneurs. You see so many mothers actually start businesses just when their kids are born. Or even like Mama Earth, you know, her story is all about, you know, I started my businesses as old as my kids because it's like my third baby, like you. So how is it as a mother to handle this? What is, I would say, a little advice you want to tell our audience about being a mompreneur, and is the fad real, or what's the deal behind being that?
I don't know if it's a word that really needs to be used too much, is because I could be a dad and have done exactly the same thing.
Right.
You know, why are we undermining our dads in a lot of ways? But I think one differentiating factor as a mom versus as a dad would be that umbilical cord never breaks, right? So the mom guilt is what you can allow yourself to be pulled in either direction. I've got mom guilt even every minute, every single day, even now. Because I love my work and I love my kids, but I also know that I come from a family where my parents were both working as well. My mom's, as I said, she's a pathologist. So I've always seen them work. But I've also managed to see them balance it out. They managed to make sure that they gave us time, but also what they love doing, they gave that time. So I think that mix of, that blend of, as a mother, I need to know where to draw the line. And yes, I did sometimes feel like, oh damn, I shouldn't have taken up this meeting or this project or this patient, you know, because they really needed me. And then there's been times where I've stayed back with them, and I've had like multiple calls saying, not done doc, we needed you, you weren't there. So there's always going to be an unhappy party on the other side, unfortunately. So as a mother, that tug of war is there. It is not going to change. It's been there from centuries ago and it's going to stay forever. Sometimes fight that guilt and still go ahead, or sometimes give into that guilt and not go ahead. You know, I think firstly, women need to get themselves to a level of maturity, confidence and assertiveness to say that, what is it that you need? I'll get the job done. Just tell me what you need, right? Don't worry, I'll get the job done. And I know how to protect myself. But of course, there has to be a culture within that workplace that respects that freedom given to the woman.
Right.
You know, you can't onboard a woman within a sporting company but have a culture which is so macho and which is so male dominant that you don't respect that she's around you.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I'll give you an example. When I was with Air India, we're talking 2005, 2006. Okay? I traveled with the team to Goa, to Calcutta, to Kerala, to multiple cities during that league at that time. There was no ISL, this was football. Yeah. And the team did not have any funding, they didn't even have decent grounds or change rooms. But I did that because that was my first ever job. Mind you, I didn't have any pay from the team. I went through as a part of my workplace and I loved it. I loved it because A, they respected that I was around. So there was no macho culture there. They protected me when I was around. For example, when we were in Salt Lake, for a Mumbai team to win in Calcutta against a Calcutta team is a big deal. Yeah. The crowd went berserk. They started stone pelting, but the team was so good at protecting. They said, you know, coach, or they used to call me coach for some reason, come to the middle of the bus and sit down low so you don't get hurt. And they surrounded me. Oh, wow. Right? So they would protect. They would protect. If they needed treatment, they would first call, you know, my room where I was staying in the hotel and ask, you know, coach, can we come right now? We have this pain or we want to show you this. And whenever a player would come, there was a helper, not even a manager, as a part of that team there, who would come along with them. He was in his 60s. So it was their way of making sure that they are respecting A, my boundary, B, respecting the work I do, and C, however badly behaved they want to be outside, but they were never in front of me. Yeah. Okay? That's all a woman within sport is asking for. Respect her presence, respect her work, and allow her to make those decisions so that she can help you.
Right.
I don't think it's that difficult. Why are we complicating this?
I think it's really nice that you said it, because it's not about the complications, it's just about perception. There are so many stories told, and you know, you just saying this works as a testament to people that, you know, there are so many teams out there who would really treat a woman really nicely. Like you said, just be assertive, because being assertive helps you draw that line. So, you know, that's interesting. You know, when you were telling us your story, you said you want to be a change maker and be the voice of women physio and this industry per se. I just want to know, why do you feel so much about it, and a little about what is your vision? What are you trying to create this impact in? Because I definitely think that it requires still that little leader to be like, you know, we got this. So what is that aspiration for you, and why is this need that you want to stand up for women in this space?
I want to create a good workplace for people who don't want to go or can't go. Yeah. B, I want to create a standard where we are at par with the rest of the world. Because why is it still that abroad gaye to hi achhe hain? Why is it still being looked at that way?
Yeah.
We have some of the best physios in the world. And I can tell you this sitting here because I've been there and have seen it and I've worked alongside.
Yeah.
So no, there are good and bad everywhere. There are douchebag physios even there.
Yeah.
So just because you only see the best talking on screen or on Instagram does not mean they're all good.
Yeah.
There are good ones here also. right? So what I'm trying to get to is, A, go with a purpose. Don't just go, it shouldn't be a herd mentality. So I'm trying to retain the good physios here by creating a workplace that's global standards, having a mentor like myself or others around me. I'm trying to really join other women founders in this, and we've become sort of, we're a good group of 3-4 of us now in Bombay, and I don't mind naming them even, but fabulous women founders like myself, and fabulous, doing really good work and being mentors to the younger ones. So that's my aim. That's number one, is to stop the good talent from going overseas, because what if they also find husbands over there like me and not come back?
They'll stay there.
So I want them to come back. India needs more. We have 1.3 and growing billion population.
Yeah.
Who's
We
going to
need
service?
physios the most.
Right? They have enough of their physios.
Yeah.
Why are you going there and then struggling to get a job? There has to be somebody who can create a certain standard and a certain level of position where people can look up to and say, you know what, this is fair, this is where I want to be eventually. But don't aim for this in your first year out.
Yeah.
It's taken me 20 years. At least give yourself 5. I'm not saying you have to suffer for 20.
You did that, but now take 5 at least to
At
build a
least
business.
5.
Yeah.
You know, like you sadly and rightly said before, the new gen is very impatient.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be at CEO level now. And coincidentally, I heard again another video of Indra. I keep following her a lot. Hers this morning, where she's like, whatever position you're in, do it so well that you become hard to replace.
Yeah.
Right? You come in your job in day one and you can't say, I want to be CEO next year. That's not your decision. Let that company decide that, or your employer decide that. But you do what you are doing so well now that you automatically get that jump without being asked for it.
Right.
But you have to do that, right? First, before somebody notices
Good
it.
message. Good message to put it out there for everybody.
She said it, not me, but I agree with that. That's what I keep
100%,
telling
even
the
I do.
freshers as well, that at least do what you're doing now so well that patients want you. I don't have to push patients towards you.
Right.
And that's what I tell every single practitioner under Continuum or under my banner is, it's not about Continuum. It's about you as a practitioner.
Right.
People don't come to Continuum because it's only Continuum. People come because you are there.
Yeah.
So make yourself so visible with your work and work for it and earn it.
Right.
It doesn't come that easily.
Easy.
Yeah.
No, definitely.
Even at 14 years experience, it still took 3 years for Bombay to sort of know me a little.
Yeah.
I'm not
And
saying
you're still growing. You're still
exactly.
growing.
I'm not at all. I wouldn't call myself as the person in Bombay, but I'm saying it still took 3 years for people to know and word of mouth to pick up.
Yeah.
So you've just finished bachelor's. Wait, give it a year, 2 years, 5 years.
And
Create a name, and of course it will grow. Work talks.
Definitely.
Simply put, your work talks. My mom always said this.
Nice. So thank you for that. So we're going to move into a little bit of a fun segment. Usually at most of the episodes, I do like a rapid fire at the end. But for you, I've got 2 different interesting segments because of the industry that you're in.
Awesome.
First, it'll be a rapid fire, 1-word answers only. This is just to get to know you a little bit better. So be as raw, honest, unfiltered as you can. So everybody gets to know Dr. Kruti. Starting with the first question, what is the emergency desk snack that you have in case of hunger crisis?
Oops. Almonds now, Parle G before.
Okay. The one trick that helps you calm your nerves?
Deep breaths.
Okay. If you could have dinner with one sports player, who would it be?
Virat Kohli.
Okay. Out of these 2, which one would you pick? A perfect posture or endless energy?
Oh, endless energy, any day.
Okay. 8 hours of sleep or feeling no stress?
Feeling no stress.
Okay. 2 tips that you want to give every women founder to incorporate in their day-to-day to ensure a proper physical outlook.
Physical outlook, absolutely you need to work out. Whatever you like. It could be dancing, it could be swimming, it could be going to the gym. And the other would be look after your mental health.
Okay. Which is your favorite meal of the day?
Breakfast.
I knew that was going to be there. Which women athlete out there do you want to work with? Your dream women athlete?
PV Sindhu.
Priority wise, rate this for me. Exercise, sleep, nutrition, mindfulness.
Mindfulness, sleep, nutrition, exercise.
What work culture do you prefer, Indian or Australian?
Indian.
Who do you think is going to win IPL this year?
I should say MI. I'm sitting in Mumbai.
But who do you really think?
CSK.
We all are rooting for Dhoni. If you had to give a tip to these sports athletes, what would you give? PV Sindhu,
Put on more muscle.
Sakshi Malik,
Strength.
Smriti Mandana.
Mobility. Flexibility.
Okay, cool. I think a very big takeaway from this entire episode was there are so many myths, there are so many sayings out there that people are abiding by. So I just thought of doing like a fun Mythbusters segment.
Love
I'm
it.
going to tell you some myths that we've researched about and found. You have to tell us
Great.
whether they're actually true or not.
Love it.
Okay, so just answer in true or false. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Great. Carbs make you fat.
False.
The more you sweat during a workout, the better the results.
False.
Stretching before a workout is essential to prevent injury.
True.
Lifting weights makes a woman bulky.
False.
Detox cleanses are necessary for good health.
True.
Women can't work out while they're menstruating.
False.
Muscle becomes fat if you stop working out.
False.
If you're an athlete, you can't drink alcohol.
False.
After conceiving, women feel like they can't pursue a sports career.
False.
Okay, thank you so much for that. I think we busted a lot of the myths through this entire episode.
Welcome.
Like you know, the name of this series is FoundHers. We believe every woman is out there finding something. And what is it that Dr. Kruti is finding?
I think finding oneself is really important. And I've almost, I should say, at 42, found myself. I'm still finding. I'm not there yet. But number one is to find yourself. Because only when you find yourself do you find your purpose.
Right.
And once you find your purpose, you become unstoppable.
Right. That's nice. You want to be the unstoppable. And I think the entire episode has been such an inspiration to know your journey and what you perceive. I think so many myths broken, and that's all I can say, because even for me, I think so many insights on how women founders should treat health and well-being while they're starting out in their journey. So thank you so much for being here with us today.
Welcome.
It was a pleasure, and I hope that you find yourself in this entire journey.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.